Hello Commanders, and welcome to the training video for the Airsoft Total War game. Here I'm going to explain the game board, which is going to be your primary role as part of this game. You will be the leading commander of one of two factions, either the American Coalition or the Minutemen Militia. This will be a turn-based game here on the table, and whatever battles happen here in engagements you order on the map, we go and play on the Airsoft map. So I'm going to explain some very basic rules to this game so that you can understand how it's played and we don't have to teach you out on the field. As you can see here, we start with 4 squads. Each squad is one full squad of people on your team, and when you have 2 in one location, it means that you have a respawn. So this is your first wave, and then should somebody on your team, either you, your lieutenant, or whoever you deem be the one to give the command, you can opt to have a respawn on the field, and that will consume a cube because you've consumed that respawn. Once everyone else is gone off the team, that one is gone as well. You have up to 3
waves.
Only 3 cubes of your own can occupy any one square. Here on the game board, blue team goes first, and just on the first turn, just for blue team, only move 2 pieces, and then after that all pieces will move, and it's a way to balance just the beginning of the game. Each piece can only move 1 square, like so, in a cardinal direction, not diagonally. There is the option to do a double time command, which is to have a unit move 2 spaces. Actually, I'll do that for red team over here, I'll show you. So red team here is going to double time, boom, boom, 2 spaces away. And when that happens, you take your marker and mark an X. This shows that the unit cannot move again on the next turn, allowing you to still do engagements where you will intercept an enemy squad because you need to move a little quicker to get there, but at the cost of not moving the next turn. Any other pieces that enter this square will also be affected by double time, whether or not they were moved 1 space over, because now they've joined in there with a squad that is cancelled for the next turn. I'm going to go ahead and allow red to move these other spaces. The last most important thing you probably need to know about movement is, as long as you control your airbase, which allows air transportation. You see it looks kind of like a little airbase. Allows you to move pieces in between your controlled hardpoints. So this starting squad here will move away from HQ down to refinery. Now, HQ does have 4 spaces right here. If any 4 of these spaces are attacked, it does count as an attack towards headquarters, but I did it so that these 4 spaces so that you can put squads in all these 4 spaces instead of all just concentrating on 1. Now that I've gone into some of these turns, and while I do some movements, I'm going to talk to you about some of these game board pieces. So obviously you know about the airbase here and its importance. Should you lose this airbase, you no longer have permission to warp between your positions. The next important landmark is one that will probably be very frequented, and that's these outposts. They basically look like some buildings with a wall on it, if you're standing outside it, and they are basic defensive points. Should an engagement occur on that location, it's a very defensible position, so they're really good to control. And especially on the game board map, they're really important to control so you can rapidly transport units to the front lines. That's the main point of those. Then you have your refinery here, which basically just looks like a factory with some smokestacks. And this has a very important function in the game where it spawns in new units when you turn in these energy symbols to them, right here. And once you turn that in, it immediately spawns a new squad that can move the next turn. It'll pop in, but it can't move just yet. Next turn you're able to move it, which is another reason why I have more spaces back here. Up here, you notice I have some movement. These are just what turn it is, because every other turn you will get just a brand new fresh squad, regardless of energy being turned in. So now it's turn 2 for red. I'm going to go ahead and this person just got double time canceled, so that's gone. They're moving there. They're moving there. And now that's over. And blue team, I'm moving back over here to 1. They just started. I'm going to take the brand new squad right here and place it here. Now this one can move. Now the last location that you need to remember is this right here in the center, and this is called silo. Right here is a missile base that if you control all 4 points for 5 consecutive turns, you launch a missile and destroy one of these 3 enemy bases. Their headquarters is too far away, but you can strike their air base, their outpost, or refinery. It's your choice. And that does mean that you just have to have at least 1 squad controlling one of each of these. If an enemy squad does come in and does manage to push you out, that counts as disrupting the launch, and you are going to have to go back and recapture that space. So as such, silo is a very hard place to control because it's fought over a lot. And in my previous tests, it's been so hard that it's almost not really worth it to put too much resources into it. But as soon as somebody does, everybody starts going there. So it's kind of this balance of if you're going to carry out raid missions or try and hold the center objective. It's really up to you. Just want to stress how hard it is to hold, but the payoff is really great. And you have to have a really good team to hold it, really. Alright, I've skipped ahead here on the map for us to a lot later on in the game. This is about 21 turns into the game. You can see American Coalition has been quite successful at pushing back. I know earlier in the game, Minimum Militia did try and hold the center point, and it fared kind of well for them before they started getting outflanked and had to pull back. And then they actually just lost some key battles. That's a big turning point as well, should you lose some battles. I'm going to go ahead and let's go and do red's turn right here so I can show you some of the other little nuances. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move this guy because he's holding a resource. This is how you take resources. You just slide the resource panel with the piece. This piece is going to fly over here, while this piece here is going to fly this resource piece back to refinery. Right, so he's back there. You can only have up to 3 pieces there, so I guess you technically could say you can only turn in 3 of these a turn. And this just comes here with these resources and instantly a new squad is spawned. Wow, a new squad is spawned. These other ones right here are going to hold position because they are holding this outpost and they really don't want to lose it. In fact, one piece here I'm going to move back to this outpost, and this one's going to double time it in to the outpost to ensure that it's defended to the max. And you'll notice right here I just colored this outpost red with this marker to show that it's controlled by red. But this right here will ensure that on the battlefield as we play, I can call in 2 respawns because I have the base, right? The base squad everybody gets to start in. But then as players on the battlefield get hit and go back to respawn, at some point as I have 4 people waiting back at respawn, we can call the spawn right then and there or wait for more people to come. But whoever is in the spawn, we call the spawn and everybody goes at the same time, and that consumes the spawn. Okay, and I can do that one more time. That's how it's going to work. We're not going to have more respawns than that because that's a lot of running across the battlefield. The game's got to end at some point. So that's the controlling and limiting factor. Now, if this resource right here, if I decided to not move him there and that resource was still there, that resource would actually still be on the map and would be capturable. Somebody could steal that resource and take it back, and blue team would actually move it away from our base. And that's, you might have that sometimes where the energy, it happened here in Silo a lot, where you're just holding silo, and there's an energy there, and you get attacked. So it is kind of like a sub-objective. It's there, and you can go for it as blue team or whoever's trying to attack and steal it. But also the main objective is to obviously wipe down the enemy or capture the point. Whatever you choose. So they're going to stay there. This squad is going to double time it over here into enemy territory, trying to go for that outpost. I'm going to mark the red X. And then airfield's going to hold, because we do not want to lose airfield either. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do this engagement. This is when we would actually now go and brief your troops about what's happening here. You would tell them what's your objective. So red team would go to their team and say, all right, our objective is to take this base. They only have what they got. They don't have any respawns, but neither do we. This is our strategy, or you can assign it to a field commander, right? If you decided to assign someone to that position and they handle the battlefield tactics of it. But really, that's the time to discuss as a team and then head to your starting point. Now, in blue team would go back to their troops and say, okay, we are defending outposts, we're holding the hill, and just keep them away. We only have one respawn, so just be smart and just don't let them get close. That's what probably I would do, but you can execute some flanking maneuvers, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to decide it here by the dice. I'm going to give it to red here just because I want to see what happens with blue team and let them take their footing, because they are behind right now. So blue squad gets eliminated, and I change this to red. But they're double time, so they're locked in. Now that was the only engagement there, so we'd come back to the board now. It's blue team's turn. They move up to turn 9, because it's an odd number. We get a new squad placed back here. Let's go ahead and make some movements. Okay, I've done all the movements for blue now. All these resources are kind of running away. This one's coming back. Squad from HQ went to defend outpost. Over here we now have 2 engagements. I moved these 2 over here, and these 2 are just moving sideways because they may go and attack some of their objectives. Kind of depends on what happens here. And they're engaging that double time squad. It really doesn't have any effect on the battlefield, it just means that they can't move next turn. So they're locked in position, which is kind of why these guys are moving away, and they're going to go pursue other targets. And down here we had 2 and 2, 2 moved in, and then 1 double timed in. So blue is double timed, but they have a slightly advantageous engagement here. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for these. Okay, after kind of randomly deciding how these engagements went down, red was actually able to defend their outpost, and they continue to hold it. Meanwhile, down here, blue actually took the airfield. So what happens here, I'm going to flip this down over to the blue piece, and red is no longer allowed to transport units between their outposts until they go and recapture that, which is a big bummer for them because they just took this objective right here. Red's turn. New squad, and I can go ahead and put them, they can all just start there. If you started a red squad back here and you lost your airport, I'm totally fine with you moving them to this front piece. It's okay. We'll go ahead and move that there. He's moving up. He's moving up. They're gonna hold. And these guys lose their double time inhibitions. Now, one last important thing are the respawn of resource back onto the field. Once I have 6 sitting here as the game master, once I hit 6, I'm going to start putting in 2 in on each turn. So I would randomly select 2 resources to go in, and they have to be able to spawn in where it would match. So like right here, right? This would be red's turn, and then blue. And I'm only going to do them in 4s so that 2 spawn in on red's turn and 2 spawn in on blue's. It's just so that resources are fair. Now that's pretty much it for the gameplay. please message me if you have any questions, but go ahead and take the quiz down below to show your understanding of these concepts here in the game and to show that you're ready to take command on this field. Another thing to consider is you will have a lieutenant who will help you in making these decisions here, and you can take input from anybody on your team, but you will designate a lieutenant because their secondary feature is that your lieutenant will handle what's called the transfer system, which is when somebody wants to switch over to another team. And I wanted to do this so that people have the opportunity to play with multiple different friends. They're not just locked on one team all day. So somebody who wants to swap teams will come and tell command, which is you and or your lieutenant, preferably your lieutenant, and your lieutenant will get the names of the people who are wanting to transfer. They'll get with the other lieutenant from the other team and see who's there and trade players. And it's your decision if you wanted to trade who with who. And if you want to deny the request for transfer at that time, that's fine. Because we do need to keep the teams fair and even, because I know some people are more experienced than others. But I will have you as a commander pick the lieutenant from another part, whoever's in this canvassy pool for commander. It's others that can take this board game right here more seriously, and they will have a little more time to handle these things like transfers and take some of this duty off of your plate, so to speak. Now, again, let me know if you have any other questions. I can't wait to see you out on the battlefield, and we will see you later.